Hey, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's going on? I always say happy Monday. Just got home, kind of just grabbed myself something to drink, went to the restroom, pulled up my charts, and here we are. So, just kind of looking over where we're at. And forgive me if you hear the wind, like it kind of, I'm not like burning up, but I'm hot, so you hear the fan. I've got the fan aimed over here, so it's hitting the side of the mic. So no, I'm not in a wind tunnel. But here's the thing. I know everybody probably thought I was crazy last night when I told her what my target was, and this has been accomplished here. So we did make it back up into this area of fair value. Trying to see what kind of response we're gonna get from in here, but let's see. Didn't get this bounce back down. I thought that this was possible, but I wasn't 100% sure, which is ultimately why when we started chopping in here, I kind of just got out. I figured, I did what I felt was like the responsible thing to do, and not be greedy regardless of, what the expectation was. So that worked out. I'm trying to look and see. Let's sort out this morning though, if we can in here. So first thing I kind of want to look at is like what the pre-New York did. We obviously see this massive run up, but like, so pre-New York basically was, so I like to start at 7. So okay. So you really wouldn't have been able to determine anything, honestly. So 9:30 open, 9. We've gotten that. Yeah. It was kind of ho hum. So here's your 8:30 candle. So if you were looking at pre-New York and you went from 7 to 8 to see like kind of exactly like what the hell what could you expect, that is like minuscule, but it is fair value nonetheless. That's what your 925 tap back into, and your 930 left buy side on the 9, which would have given you an initial bias long. 930 open, still uncovered, so at some point you can anticipate price coming back. And 1, 2. Hang on, I gotta flip my phone over because all I have to do is hear that one time and it'll start the barrage. I can get rid of that. So from an initial balance perspective, I'll just mark that out and then 1049. What is NQ futures? It is the NASDAQ that projects or forecasts future price for the NASDAQ. Even though I know that's where that is, I just want to move this over so I can see. All right. So go back to locking that. Good morning. No problem. How you doing today, him? Let's see. I was looking for you last night, actually. How was your weekend? Okay, so let's see if this holds as the initial high. So this would be the break above, but this is an established high, especially if we maintain the structural basis for a high here. Let's see. Sorry for the big sigh. I'm just I'm tired. Had a lot to do this morning at work, so can pop myself down a little bit here. All right. Excuse me. I'm just trying to study this for a minute. Give me just a few minutes. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I want to say it looks like just from I'm just trying to see, because it looks like it was reaching. And I had that one area, but I'm wondering if this it might be. So I'm gonna take I'm gonna take that off. wait, before I do that, because I put this up last night. I just want to see something. Sorry. Okay. Let me just lock this just enough so I can move this over. I just don't want anything else to move. Now we're going to go to here. It's a soup. So, So we had a sweep or a soup, if you will, just whatever you want to call it. And then this Sibby sitting here, which now we're back into. So my initial inclination is just to look at this and say, okay, we're probably going to move. We can move into this area, and I marked that area out on the 5 minute as an area for basically that bearish fair value to hold. We have inversed a bearish fair value area here. We've cleared through that. So there is a decent likelihood that, let's see, 1, and then this would be 2. Depending on the 2 p.m. candle. Yeah, we're just about at 11. So if the present 10 a.m. candle remains at this level, or as we go into the lunch hour, even if there's another high, which may not be put in prior to New York PM session, like I said, I don't want to make it sound like this is well, it's exactly what it is. It's probability just based on the structure itself. And I know tomorrow is, Powell testimony and other things. So that's why I said, like, after last night, I'm done. But it doesn't mean we can't look and see. So my bias would be this may hold just because of a previous soup, right? Because we had, and it's barely been taken back here. So this high was barely taken. It's like pipped out. And like I said, with that move back, we grabbed a little bit of sell side from this low here. It was already in an area of fair value. Ran that out. As I said, this was already bearish. We've potentially inversed the bearish. We're potentially setting up two areas of fair value. So to be this one here and then this one. If this remains as like even though it's a 4-hour intermediary protected high, if that were to be the case, we might reject here and maybe trade back into one of these areas of fair value. That's contingent on the 2 p.m. candle opening and pushing into this range. But let's see if we can continue to either build that narrative or something else happens. Something else comes of that. Well, let's see. Where is my Yeah, I think this is reaching for something. It's reaching. 22. It may run out. So what is in here? I think this is going to continue to run long. Like I said, I'm interested to see what kind of reaction we get here. But hang on. Here's the conundrum, right? So at the point that we took this liquidity back here, this is why I'm pausing, because I'll talk you through my narrative. So at the point that we come up, we sweep out or soup this out, right? We've cleared all this liquidity back here, closed back inside, right? This is Friday, this past Friday. And this is the 4 hour, so this is not the daily, but nonetheless. So this is 6 a.m. Friday. We then clear out all of the sell side liquidity. We run it all the way out back to the 5th, which was Wednesday. We clear it out, and that's a 2 a.m. candle. Okay. Clear everything out. This is today's or yesterday's Globex Open, whatever, right? So I took this position all the way back up. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If we're just going to look at, and I always talk about candle range and candle range theory, this is why I said I'm in between two things. Here's what I'm in between. If this candle, you remember how you heard me say, if this candle closes, need to see 2 o'clock, maybe, basically come back up into this area of fair value and maybe short. Yes and no. But if you look at this candle from Friday, the 6 a.m. candle from Friday, what do we have? We've already taken the sell side. If this 10 a.m. candle closes at 2, we're closing back inside this candle range. We've gathered quite a bit of sell side liquidity. We've run a lot of sell side liquidity out. We're continuing to run up. So, I said a few minutes ago, like it's reaching for something. That's why I kept coming back up here. And then I went to the weekly just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. I could still be missing something. But the point is, this 6 a.m., I'm not gonna say, right? So we're not gonna say that was a body closure inside. But this 10 a.m. candle opened, I would say, inside the entire candle range of the 6 a.m. from Friday. So subsequently, if this candle closes inside, we may be looking at, what is this up here? Is that 88? 21,968. We may take this. So the whole idea of this being a protected high, it could have been a protected high to allow this short to commence, the liquidity accumulation to commence. So we may be looking for higher price, just based on some candle range in here right now. So could probably get rid of some of this back here. I want to keep this up just as I'm going to keep that. And then we'll mark this out. And don't make fun of my little mascot TP. Okay, so let's go back down. and then revisit what price is doing in here. Okay, so in order to kind of confirm that long bias, the way structure is forming now, we'd need basically like something like a failure swing. So what that would look like is if we have this high, let's say we're making the low here, even if we make a higher high, the higher high might be something like price will come into this area of fair value, right? So we would come into this area of fair value. You might get a short, but the short won't take this low, right? If that just happens to be the structure. So again, it would look something like this would be the high, this would be a low, you get like a higher high, and then we'd get something like this, and then price would just reverse out, right? It would leave this intact. It wouldn't sweep it, and it wouldn't close below it. It might come back within, say maybe this down candle range or like the lows candle range, but it wouldn't close below it. It would literally just reverse back out. And this would be like an inter manipulation of a lower, I'm trying to think of how I could say it. It's a more consolidated version of liquidity being generated to reverse price. But it, obviously, if it has a higher objective, if it has inefficiency, or if it has fair value in terms of price that's higher, like it's going to generate the interterm liquidity to continue bullish in this case. So it will reverse out. So you'll get a failure swing, which will ultimately cause, a higher low, and then ultimately a higher high, and then we're off to the races, back bullish again. So and the fact that we're running into, it's 11:11, so another way to maybe confirm that, if in fact that's what this is, we may not see. I was talking to T Camp about this last night. We were talking about liquidity and AM session. So at present, that would be the high, and this would be the low. And lo and behold, yeah, I was saying I wouldn't want to see price below this if we're going to continue looking for a higher objective. But that literally sits just above the area that I'm looking at, like dual areas of fair value. I kind of don't even want to see anything in here if we're looking for higher price. Excuse me. That's kind of how I'm trying to set my chart up to say, okay, if we come back below that, obviously it's a hands off to see what's being developed, or how price is printing. If it's below, maybe, coming back further. If it's above, I don't know. This may not be the low for this right now. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. More information required. More information is required, my friend. So, yeah, nothing to do really, but be a spectator and watch. But yeah, that's at 21.9, what did I say? 68, right? 21.968. We'll see. We shall see. And if we reach that level, if we reach there, and it continues, like it's a little, you kind of get a wick through and then it pops through. It's not like, and again, I don't know, but we could be reaching much higher than that. I don't know if we're going to go back into that area where we had volume imbalance prior to it, and it could really be reaching back up into that as well, because there was such a significant volume imbalance between candle opening and closure. Let me take you back, because I'm saying that like you're in my head and you know what I'm talking about and what those candles were. I'm referring to these candles back here. I'm referring to these candles here. So you could say, well, it should be okay, right? Yeah, it could, but a lot of times it's not going to just, when I say paint, obviously I mean like the bullish and bearish back and forth, but it won't necessarily just paint for the imbalance. It's going to, make sure that it encompasses not just the imbalance, but ultimately if they're like, you've got fair value up here that's been reached into twice, that's been respected, but now we may be in a situation where this becomes an inversion of sorts to allow for broader expansion for price to be balanced in specific areas. So just because it repaints doesn't mean that price ultimately is going to be balanced in those areas. So that's just why I'm saying that. And then ultimately you could also view this depending on, again, how you how you look at price and what you think about specific levels and areas, but that could be viewed as an order block. You may look at this as an order block. That high is 22.07375. 22.07825. So then what is this candle? 22.09350. Making my forehead itch. Hang on. That's better. Yeah, it's just kind of wonky, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, this is kind of like a not much to do, but this was a failure swing here. You see it? That was a failure. And it was a failure swing based on just structure. So yeah. So here twice. So you went, and it was do 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 do. And it looks like it was a failure swing for liquidity purposes only, really. There was no break. If you're looking for like a structural level, I'm looking here. And I'm saying that because you've got basically, and I'm not counting the intermediate in here. I'm looking at the major swing points. So if you're looking at the major swing points, you notice like even with this, if you follow it across, like you've got a closure inside. So there's not a sweep of liquidity or anything like that. However, after you get through this high, this low, right? And then this next major swing high, when you do start looking at a little bit of the interstructure, then you start to see things like the failure swings. So here's a low, there's a high, there's a lower low. This is going to count as a failure swing, as a lower high. And then you just take it from the previous low, that's a high, this is a lower low. While this makes a higher high here, in the original structure, it's still a lower high. This is another failure swing here. And then the interstructure gives it to you. Does the same thing. This is a high, this is a low, this is a lower high. And then it drops off. But as I said, it wasn't necessarily for like a continued or prolonged short if you go back out and you look at it, because again, you didn't have like major levels swept, souped, none of that, right? It maintained the overall structure. This finished high, or it closed higher, it rejected, it closed higher. So we may be coming back up to grab liquidity. And because, like I said, it's kind of just, it's trying to build liquidity. It could be for the same purposes. It could be just coming up to grab liquidity. We may see maybe a short-term sell-off for higher price, or we could be coming to sweep to gather more to come up and take that for additional shorts, or more of a, I don't want to call it a long-term bearish price, but yeah, I'm gonna mark that because I'm interested in this now, just looking at it. I don't want to make it green. Can I make it gold? Just gonna call it point of interest. And I'm just gonna call it a failure swing. Probably need to put that right on top, because when I go back to a 5-minute, it's gonna be hanging over a different candle, and I'm gonna be like, damn, what are you what are you doing? Okay, back to the 5. What do we see? Probably nothing. All right, so 11:20. Yeah, guys, I don't really see anything to do at this point. There's nothing to do. This is kind of like a wait and see. Even going into the lunch hour, as I said, really the only, if you just absolutely had to, if you were just like, I have to put a position on, the only position I see is coming back into this area of fair value. That's it. If I just had to, which is not an option for me nowadays, I would want to see this fair value stay open. I don't want to see this traded back into. And again, the logical reason behind that is I think that my bias is it's reaching for something higher. That was my bias even before yesterday. So I just don't know exactly what that is. Not yet. Now, I've got my ideas of what I think it is. And I have at least, a structural bias as to why that should be. But there's nothing to do. Unless this level, we tap back into this and we have a reaction where price moves away fairly quickly and aggressively, that'll kind of solve two issues or two areas where I would consider, okay, this is a possibility. The first of which is going to be, we'll have a definitive low in an area of fair value, in opposition to this high. That's the first thing. The second is you'd have basically a position that you could get into for long, targeting just that high, not really understanding, how much further we're going. Or once we get into a fair amount of profit down here, you can just go risk off and let it run and do its thing until such time you just want to close the position if it starts to reverse, right? That's really it. That is really, really it. And it looks like, we're going to get some of this AM liquidity run on. I'll do this again for anybody that didn't see me do it earlier. But if you just use the rectangle to determine your AM range, this is all the liquidity that was built up over the AM session. So it's not an absolute. It doesn't happen all the time, but there are times where price will run or begin to run on the AM liquidity just before the lunch hour, and the lunch hour is going to generate that liquidity to either push bullish in the PM session, or it will continue bearish, or just depending on, as we have like economic news and other things, it could literally just bounce back and forth and not really do much of anything within the session. So that 50% is just above this area of I'm going to call it an area of invalidation, because as I said, I don't want to see anything close in fair value down here if we're to run higher. Like, this is that's my border. That's my, don't cross this line if you want to be bullish area. I think as kids, I don't know that I ever did that though, with my foot or with a stick. I know some kids like, you make your line with your shoe and be like, don't cross this line. But I guess that's the equivalent. Don't cross that line if you want to be bullish. I need to start sending my my live streams to Monster Energy, see if I can get a sponsorship. I'm joking. They'll be like, thank you for the video and thank you for enjoying our drink. Have a good day there. Goodbye. Well, I would hang out longer, but as I said, I mean, I'm not gonna tie you guys up, and I'm not gonna just jump in something just for the hell of it, because, like I said, we'll have to wait and see. So, as I said, I mean, anybody that's hanging out, I would challenge you, just kind of go into your charts and look and find your bias and see what if anything the market is showing you, just in terms of probability, what it's doing. And yeah, so with that, I'm gonna wrap here for today, guys. Don't know if we'll be back for Globex tonight. I'm not sure. So if I'm not back on this evening, definitely we'll be back tomorrow at some point, and probably tape read, because by the time I get back to the house, we should be well into Powell's. Well, we won't be probably into his testimony. He's probably going to give a speech at the ahead of everything. So the likelihood is I'll make it back to the charts by the time he's still speaking, delivering his prepared speech. And yeah, the testimony probably won't be until about 10:30, 10:45, 11. Excuse me, something like that. So it should be a pretty wild lunch hour tomorrow. That's for sure. But at any rate, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be trying to live stream here quite a bit over the next couple of weeks, and hell, see if we can't get to 200. I believe I'm at 196 subscribers, so my my widget hasn't updated. But hey, if I can get to 200 subscribers by this week, excuse me, I will probably stream on Friday, and when I do a recap video, I want to poll whoever's in the chat to see if, well, I'll do it this way. I'll poll the chat to see which prop firm most people are like enjoying the most, and then based on that prop firm, maybe we can do like a combine giveaway, not this week but the following week. So maybe after kind of consulting chat what their favorite prop firm is, we get to 200 subscribers, consult chat, see what your favorite prop firm is, and then just make a decision on an account size, and maybe we do a prop firm challenge or a prop firm combine giveaway on the 21st. So that's just kind of off the top of my head, but like I said, let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys' time. I'm going to go grab some food and shower and maybe a nap, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. You take care. Thanks.